Should are corporations undertaxed, and is that the way we should look at it?
Look, I think Amazon is paying their taxes. They do have operating losses moving forward, so they're just abiding by the current tax code. I think what's happening right now is the politicians have a free hall pass. They're trying to protect all of us as consumers against the big tech companies and the power that they're generating. We think, again, going forward, there's not likely to be a breakup or a big change in the tax code. We think that effectively that right now the politicians are just making are circling the wagons and doing the flyovers to keep us all safe. So we think that this is they're doing their job. The tech companies are trying to do their job, and they have their perspective. This war is going to continue to go on for quite some time. But we can talk about the regulatory angle and what's happening on the breakup side, but we don't believe there's a breakup coming. We think these companies, again, are following the tax code. It's a bigger issue that's going on.
I guess that I just wish the connection would be made between private sector jobs and the creation of wealth and prosperity, and whether the government itself can ever actually generate wealth or prosperity, so that when the government is in a sort of a hostile sort of a position to the private sector, I don't really understand how that isn't self-defeating to our efforts to raise taxes. Did tax reform give a break to corporate fat cats, or did it make our corporations more competitive globally so that they can succeed more globally to hire more people who then pay taxes and have jobs in the United States? Does Vice President Biden know that?
You know, I think, look, this is a bigger issue. You saw this last year with the investigation of Mark Zuckerberg. I think many of the politicians didn't even know how Facebook made money. They didn't know their business model. And so I think what you're seeing right now.
There's an election coming up, and nothing's going to change, and no one's going to connect any dots, I don't think, are they? They're just going to
look. They have to understand the fundamentals of how these businesses work before they can attack them. I think is the primary what we're taking away over the last year. We're even seeing in the state of California with what our governor's doing across creating a digital tax. I think the question is, well, what are you going to do? And they're like, we'll get back to you. We're evaluating it. So right now there's a lot of snowballs being chucked, but again, not a lot of rationale. So I think we're gonna continue this back and forth for quite some time.
Well, Brett, as an analyst, do you have to take political risk into account, or do you think that Elizabeth Warren or people on the left that want to have all these sort of draconian, they may not consider it draconian. I mean, it's sort of they're going to present it as trying to help workers versus the people with the capitals, and I understand that. I wish there, I want workers to make more. But do you think that once they're elected, would they follow through on all this, or would they realize that the jobs come from the private sector, and this is just sort of rhetoric in silly season, campaign season? Because you'd have to, if they're going to follow through with a lot of this. Druckenmiller was on the other day, said if Sanders got elected, the market would be down 40%. I mean, you'd have to, I'd take buy ratings off all your stocks if that was going to happen.
Joe, regulatory is the number one asked question by investors. Many of the analysts have been having calls with the lawyers to understand is big tech breakup likely this week. And I would say that we've never had this many clients dial in for a call. So it's top of mind from everyone. I think the answer right now is there's no big breakup coming. We have precedent from what we looked at in the Microsoft case. Clearly, if there was a breakup, this would actually be good for stocks. The sum of the parts of Amazon and Google are greater than where the stocks are trading today. So, if they do break them up, which is a low likelihood, there's actually a great case for investors to be involved right now. There's been a lot of pressure on these names because of this concern. But again, I think right now what many of the regulatory experts are saying to us, and we're tech analysts, we're not regulatory experts. The regulatory experts are saying the politicians are doing their job. The tech companies are trying to do their job. Ultimately, if they're being big isn't bad, but being bad is bad. So we think that right now, there's this is going to be an ongoing fight for quite some time. Remember, the Microsoft case lasted almost 10 years, and nothing really came out. The stock actually went down 20% and then rallied 900%.
Yeah.
So investors, can use this as an opportunity.